Cycle Scene. I swear to tell the truth as far as I can remember it. I also want to tell you, I have never been a member of the Communist Party. Well, the question was asked for outside the scene. They want to ask me a few questions, so I'm going to tell you what I feel. First question was, who is the funniest guy or person in the New York hardcore, New Jersey hardcore scene? One of the funniest people I've ever met and heard speak was Jimmy Gustavo of Murphy's Law. This guy was funny, and I mean truly funny. He could be a stand-up comedian if he wanted to. That's how funny this fucking guy was. But then there was another guy back in the day, and he went under the marker Mike Bullshit. This guy had a fanzine he put together for like 50 cents, and he ripped into everybody in that little shit. I remember one day outside CBGB's, Billy Milano wanted to fucking kill this kid from SOD. So he ran up to him. If it wasn't for 4 or 5 people, I think Mike Bullshit would have gotten the living shit kicked out of him. And that's the truth. Alright, the next question was, what was our first, because I used to hang around with the guys, what was our first hardcore show we ever saw? Well, the first hardcore show I ever saw was, I believe it was Reagan Youth and Sonic Youth, and they played a free show at the Mud Club back in 1980-something. I remember saying to the guys, Reagan Youth is pretty interesting and pretty good, but I think we can step it up a little harder, a little louder, a little faster. And we did. Our first show, Sackelson's first show, was at his Tavern in 1981. This is when I came back from the Army, when I came home on leave. So we did a few shows together, me and the guys. But that was our first show. The scene in New York was basically run by Murphy's Law, Agnostic Front, the Cro-Mags, Warzone, Sick of It All. I mean, they ran the New York scene. We were outsiders. Myself personally, I got along with Jimmy of Murphy's Law and Vinny of Agnostic Front, and Rabies was a good friend of mine. We always used to speak about the military, so he was a good guy. But if you ask me what were my favorite New York bands back in the day, it was the Nihilistics, the False Prophets, School of Violence, who were our friends for their kick-ass band, Nausea, another kick-ass band, Reagan Youth, loved them, Apple, so underrated, Jay Monroe is a great singer, and it's a shame that this girl and that band didn't make it a little bit further. But they are and were a great band. Those are the groups that are very underrated in New York and never got the push. But I enjoyed them. I enjoyed their music. They were ahead of their times. As far as cycle scene in New York, we always ran into problems because people didn't understand what we were doing. We created noisecore. We invented it. It was called fastcore back then, but we decided to play it a little bit faster, a little bit louder, and we created a new art form. And we coined the phrase noisecore. So when you get these bands saying they coined the phrase, I scratch my head and say to myself, how's that possible? For an example, DRI, they were our friends. They were our pen pals. We met them through Maximum Rock and Roll magazine. They contacted me. They wanted to know a little bit more. So as far as anyone putting the label of noisecore band, we invented it. We were the first ones. Okay? I mean, there were others in New Jersey. And I'll get to that later. But we were the first ones. We invented it. We played it fast. We played it loud. We were way advanced in our musical genre. I mean, I used to be into a band called Tunnel Canary. They were fucking great.